'Cause you're mine.
Alright, so I am obviously back in Houston. When I was in Colorado, I said I was going to make a video about what I do for a living and how I got into software and all that stuff. I refuse to be one of these guys who just puts a camera down in front of my desk and talks for 35 minutes and says it's a video. Like, that's not entertaining by any means, and I see people do it all the time. If you're not interested in software or you just don't care what the hell I do, which, thank you, go ahead and skip this video. This is not the norm. I will not be doing a video like this very often. So software developer, what does that mean? Pretty self-explanatory. I don't just do software. That would be my main occupation. I kind of wear a lot of different hats. If a computer's involved, I'm very good at making it do all the work for me, and I'll just kind of lay back and watch. I look at processes for individuals and for companies, and I try to make them more efficient by eliminating people, eliminating processes, however I can. Most of the time including software and automation and stuff like that to make a process more simple. Pretty much what I do. That's a pretty good way I can kind of describe it. Also, I do a little bit of stock trading, but I've been losing my ass recently, so I'm gonna take a break from that. I also do marketing and pretty much any kind of digital content creation. I do a lot with Christian and Alphalete. God damn, this line's long. I guess I can kind of talk here for a second. I've had a lot of people ask how I got into it. I didn't go to school for it, so a lot of people ask, why did I go to school for it, or do I have to go to school for it, and everything else. I'm gonna say no. If you want to be a doctor, go to school. If you want to be a lawyer, go to school. There's certain things where you have to have a degree. No one's going to let you practice being a doctor on them. But computer engineering, especially like just plain business or marketing, pay $50,000 every single year to go to a place that you can't make money. It's not really my place to talk, it's more of a personal thing. I'm more about connections than I am than formal education. Say you can have the greatest degree in the world, but some guy's best friend is probably gonna get the job over you because there's a connection there. He doesn't give a shit about your degree. I'd rather have connections than a degree. The lens I have on this camera is like, it's a little too close. Like I'm holding it all the way on the other side of my car. Old lens, new lens, so much better. When it comes to actually developing software, I kind of break it down into a couple different aspects. So I would say about 60% of what I do is server engineering. So I'm building APIs and dealing with databases and exchanging data back and forth, and pretty much building backend. When you hear the backend referred to, I'm talking about a server. I'd say about 40% of what I do is front end, otherwise known as client side. That's what the user actually sees. So the back end without a front end isn't very useful for the average human being. The average person isn't going to know what to do with the data. The front end is what the person, your user, is actually going to see. That's the web page, it's the HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript put together, and it's going to get the data from the server and it's going to do something with it. Perfect example on Facebook, when you hit the add friend button. Well, that button's telling the server, hey, this guy wants to friend this guy, request it, when he accepts it comes back and all that. But you don't see that happen, you just hit the button and you see a little wheel spin and then you see a check mark. Done. A lot of people don't get this from the start, and I want to make this abundantly clear, is software development, it's fucking easy. People overthink the shit out of it. So think of it this way, you have all these languages, right? And prominently there's probably 20 of them that are very heavily used. And think of every software language as an actual language in the world. So, JavaScript, PHP, Ruby, think of, English, Spanish, French. When you walk into a coffee shop, regardless which language you speak, as long as the person behind the counter understands you, when you order a medium coffee, you're gonna get a medium coffee. That's it, simple as that. It's the same thing with these languages. They all do the same thing. There are just different ways of saying it. They all do the same thing though. There's some codes do some stuff better than others and stuff like that, but overall, just they're different ways of doing things. There's no best code in the world. There's no best language in the world. Don't worry about what's hot and what's not. From getting a job aspect goes, pick the most used one. I'm hungry. Alright, so I get this question a lot too. What languages do I use on a daily basis? There's HTML, CSS, JavaScript, NoSQL, SQL, a little bit of Swift every now and then just for some of the native apps for iOS. What languages do I know but I don't use every day would be a lot more. Ruby, Python, VB, C++, C#, Go, Dart, Objective-C. I'm sure there's a couple other ones. The only difference is the syntax, syntax vocabulary that the language uses to accomplish the certain tasks. And a lot of these languages have the same syntax. For example, Swift, which is iOS or Apple's new language, is very similar to JavaScript. If you know JavaScript, you can probably learn Swift in a matter of a month, and vice versa. So again, this is in no way meant to be like a tutorial or a guide to become a software developer. I just wanted to answer a couple questions that I know I've seen a couple times on my Instagram and Snapchat. Something I definitely want to make apparent. Just because you see software developers doing well, doesn't mean that if you don't like computers, you should try to be a software developer. Yes, software development is a very good field to be in, especially with the way the world is moving. If you're not interested in computers, if you're interested in software development and you don't know where to start, I would say first decide what you want to do in software. So you want to build websites, APIs, and servers, native applications like Windows or Mac, or do you want to do Android or iOS? It's different languages and stuff. I would recommend going web just because web can run on pretty much any device in this day and age. If you decide to go just Android, well, just keep in mind that you're only going to develop apps for Android. If you do decide to go with websites, I would recommend learn HTML, learn CSS, then get into JavaScript. Build a couple fake websites. If you see a website you like and you're like, oh, maybe it'd look better if they did this, or maybe you see a company that has a shitty website, just rebuild it by yourself. You don't have to show it to them or anything, just do it for yourself, see what you can do. There's work out there, I promise you. Oh, before I forget, people always ask me, what do I use to develop on? I have this 12-core, 64 gigs of RAM, crazy Windows machine in front of me right here. And it's not what I used to develop. 2015 15-inch MacBook Pro is my daily driver when it comes to a computer. You don't need a powerful computer to develop software. It's just not true. Don't think you have to have some $20,000 computer to actually develop software. When you get into web development, 99.99% of web servers that's going to host your app are going to run on a Linux, some sort of Linux server. Linux is a operating system that is built on top of the Unix framework, and it just so happens that Mac OS that runs on all these Macs is also built on Unix, so they share a framework. Anything that'll run on Mac OS will also run on Linux server. Windows is a different framework. I haven't had a whole lot of issues, but there have been times where I built something on my Windows machine, and when I push it up to my server in the cloud, something doesn't work right. That's my main reason for this. This beast is pretty much just used for like heavy 3D rendering, big project in After Effects that I just need the 1080 to work on, and gaming. To be honest, I do like to game when I have free time. Anyways, that's gonna wrap up this video. Like I said, I'll be going back into cars and stuff. This is not the normal, so next time the camera's on, I should have some kind of cool car. If you have any questions when it comes to any of this stuff, go ahead and send me a direct message on Instagram or Snapchat. I'd love to help you out, answer as many questions as I can. At the end of the day, the only reason we're doing this vlog is so I can share my experience and help other people out. I will see you guys in the next one. I'm gonna go to the gym. Take care.